what is up and welcome back to my channel. As you can see by the title, today's video is going to be my everyday spring makeup and hair routine. So I thought it would be fun to share how I have been doing my hair and makeup lately. This is a very simple makeup look, and also the hair, it takes a little bit of time but it is not difficult to do. So today's tutorial is actually a very easy one. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you have any video requests for me, since I have a little bit more time now during this quarantine, let me know in the comments down below what you would like to see. And without further ado, let's go ahead and do my hair and makeup. Alright, so to start off this makeup, I always prime my skin, and it depends on the day whether I use an actual primer or a spray. If it has to be really fast, I actually prefer using a spray because it's just easier and faster. And today I feel very lazy, so that is what I'm going to use today. As more of like a priming mist, I really love using my Pixi Glow Mist. So I'm just going to spray this all over my skin and use this as a primer. And I really love using this spray for this because it adds a beautiful dewiness to the skin. Once that is dry, I move on to foundation. My favorite one lately has been the Zoeva Authentik Skin Natural Luminous Foundation. I filmed a first impressions on this, and since then I have been using it every single day. I freaking love it. I'm almost out of it. I think I still have this much left. But this is my favorite foundation ever. It is so luminous. Yet it doesn't make my skin feel oily or break up on my skin. I just really love it. I use the shade 120 and Daring, and that is perfect for me. I also don't really use a lot of this product. On an everyday basis, I basically use like one pump, sometimes 1.5 if there's not a lot that comes out of it, but this should be enough for my entire face. And to apply this foundation, I always start off by using the buffer brush by Zoeva, and then I go in with my blender to make sure that everything is nice and blended. But I also wanted to check in with you guys. Belgium is still on lockdown for now, and my store is not supposed to be able to open before the 11th of May, but I honestly think it will take longer than that, but we will see. So I hope you guys are hanging in there. I hope you're not too bored or feeling too alone. I think everyone will be very happy once this weird ass situation will be over. But yeah, just know that I am thinking about you, and I hope that you're doing okay. Okay, so now that I applied that using the brush, I'm going to apply a little bit with my beauty blender and just use this technique to make sure that it looks nice and seamless. For my concealer, I'm going to use my absolute favorite one, which is the Too Faced Born This Way concealer. This is just the best concealer that I have ever tried on my skin. It looks beautiful. The shade is perfect. By the way, I am in the shade Almond. And it just blends so easily. So yeah, I am obsessed with this concealer. Then taking my beauty blender again, I'm going to blend this into my skin. To set my concealer down, I'm going to use my RMS powder. This is called the Unpowder. Yeah, that is it. It's called the Unpowder. But before I set down my concealer, I always make sure that I get rid of any creases that I might have, because otherwise I am just setting those creases and we don't want that. And then lately I also haven't been using a eyeshadow primer, so I just use my concealer, but then I always make sure to set that down as well, because otherwise my eyelids will crease. And then to set down the rest of my face, I'm going to use my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish. I have the shade Medium. This is what that looks like. And again, before applying any powder on my face, I am also going to make sure that I have no creases and that everything is blended one more time. And with my powder, I always make sure to dab it into my skin instead of like swiping it, because if you do so, you might break up your foundation, and that is something you don't want. Now keep in mind, for me this is my everyday makeup routine, but for some people this might be a lot of makeup. It just depends on your preference and the time that you have, or the time that you want to spend on your makeup. For me, applying makeup in the morning is really just, you know, some me time, and it really is therapeutic for me. So yeah, that is why I take my time to do this. But what I'm showing you guys today is really what I do on an everyday basis. Not that I wear makeup every day, but if I do and it has to be quick, like for work, just if it has to be quick, this is what I do. By the way, Charlotte Tilbury unfortunately is not cruelty free anymore. I'm going to just use it up, but I bought this before I knew that she wasn't cruelty free anymore, which is such a bummer. For my bronzer, I have been loving my Colourpop Coconut Beach Pressed Powder Bronzer. This is what it looks like. And then this is the packaging. But I freaking love this bronzer. This is my favorite one that Colourpop does. So I'm just going to use this to bronze up my skin. This is a little bit on the dark side for me, so I do have to be a little bit more careful with it. But if I use a light hand, it works perfectly fine, and it is such a beautiful color. The formula is also really good, so I just apply it in a tree shape like this. So I do my forehead, my cheeks, and then also my jawline. And then because I tend to go a little bit overboard with my bronzer, I always clean it up afterwards. And for that I use my Catrice Shape in a Box kit. And what I do is use the lightest shade. I'm not going to flip this palette because it is all crumbly inside. But I use the lightest shade and just apply this right underneath where I applied my bronzer. And this is going to clean everything up and make it look more structured. For blush, I recently picked up this one by Patrick Ta in the shade She's Sincere. So this is what that shade looks like. It's such a beautiful everyday shade if you ask me. So I just apply this on my cheeks. If you're not sure where to apply your blush, just smile like this and apply it on your cheeks. By the way, I'm going a little bit more in depth in this tutorial just to make sure that I explain everything very nicely in case someone wants to recreate this very easy and simple makeup look. Moving on to highlight, I am going to use my favorite one, which is still the ABH Amrezy Highlight. This is such a stunning highlight. I love the formula, and this just remains my favorite highlight that was ever released basically. So I'm just going to apply this right above where I applied the blush, and then also a little bit above my eyebrows, what is left on the brush, so that we have a nice round shape like this. I also used to apply my highlight on the top of my nose bridge and also my cupid's bow, but I don't really do that anymore on an everyday basis, so I'm not going to do it today. And then what I always do after I apply my highlight is go back in with my blush brush without any additional product and just make sure that we have no harsh edges or lines. And this is going to help make it very seamless so that you don't really see where your highlight, blush and bronzer is. Just like that. Moving on to eyebrows. As I mentioned in my last Colourpop video, I have been loving using powder in my eyebrows. And the one that I love the most is the ABH one. So this is what that looks like. I use the shade medium brown. So I just apply a little bit of this in my eyebrows. I try not to go overboard because this is an everyday look. And also I do have microbladed eyebrows. It has been almost a year. I think in 2 days it will be a year, but they still look pretty good. They just need just a little bit of extra love, so I'm just going to fill them in a little bit. And then I always make sure to comb through it so that it doesn't look too harsh, and do the same on my other eyebrow. And then I always make sure to set my eyebrows using a gel. This one is by Colourpop. It is the Brow Boss Gel in the shade light brown. And I just comb through my eyebrows, and this is going to add a lot of body to your eyebrows and make sure that they are nice and set and that they're not going to move throughout the day. Now you guys know that I love wearing eyeshadow, but on an everyday basis I just don't have the time to create an entire eyeshadow look. So what I have been doing for eyeshadow when it has to be very quick is actually use my Colourpop Super Shock Shadow. This one is in the shade Desert. Now I'm not sure if they still make it anymore. I hope so because mine is running out. But this is basically a matte like medium warm brown, I would say. It does have a little bit of like a shininess to it, although there's not any glitter in it, so I wouldn't call it matte. I think this is more of like a satin. But I love applying this in my crease and a little bit on my eyelids just to add a little bit of color but keep it very natural and simple. So I just use one shade and that is it. Now this is very important to apply this. I use my Morphe E23 brush. The Super Shock shadows by Colourpop are not easy to apply, but I have found that this brush does do the trick. It's a little bit more dense than your natural fluffy brush, and this one is perfect to apply this shade. So I just grab a little bit on this brush, start by applying it in my crease, just very messily. Doesn't really matter how you do it, just apply it in your crease, make sure that it is blended. Then I take a little bit more on the brush and actually apply this on my eyelids, and that is basically it. So as you guys can see, it is very natural and very sheer, but it does add something onto your eyes. Now if you want to be more lazy and you don't want to purchase an extra eyeshadow, you can always use your bronzer to do this trick, but I just found that this is a really good shade for me, and that way I am easing up the makeup that I have. Again, making sure that it is nice and blended, but it doesn't have to be too perfect. Now the next step is mascara, but before I apply my mascara, I always make sure to set my face. I prefer doing this before my mascara, otherwise the mascara might run a little bit, and we don't want that, especially after all the work we put in. So to set my skin, I'm going to use my 4th Ray Glisten Up Mist. This is my favorite setting spray ever. It makes your skin look super dewy and fresh. Now that being said, this is not something I would use in the summertime when my skin gets a little bit more oily, but for now this works perfectly. It also smells so fresh. I love that. Okay, we're almost finished. Only things that we have left to do is mascara and lips. So as I told you guys, this is a very simple makeup look. For mascara, I have been loving my Covergirl, the Super Sizer. So this is what, of course, I'm going to use today. Normally, I would curl my eyelashes, but if it has to be quick, I just skip that part. Alright, so I'm just going to build this up off camera and be right back once my eyelashes are done. Alright, so my mascara is on, but I did want to share a tip with you guys. For those of you that are like me and get mascara everywhere when they apply it, just take whichever eyeshadow that you used and also a Q-tip. Make sure you let the mascara dry before you do this. Then just grab a little bit of the eyeshadow on your Q-tip and then just go over the areas where the mascara smudged, and that is basically it. It's like a magic eraser, boom, and it's gone. By the way, on an everyday basis, I don't apply mascara on my lower lashes because I have very watery eyes, and if I do so, my mascara always runs a little bit here. So on an everyday basis, I don't really apply mascara on my lower lashes. Then I always grab my blending brush again and just make sure that it is blended one more time. Alright, moving on to the last step, which is lips. I'm of course going to use the one that I have been using almost every single day lately. This is a Colourpop Ultra Blotted lip in the shade Scenic Route. This is what it looks like. The writing has completely rubbed off because I just use this almost every single day. This formula just stays on my lips all day long. The shade is beautiful. Yeah, I just freaking love it. But I do still have a little bit of foundation on my lips, so what I'm going to do before applying that is take a Q-tip and just get everything off. Also, I didn't show you guys that, but I always apply a lip balm before I start doing my makeup. That way my lips are nice and hydrated and not too dry before I apply my lipstick shade. Okay, so this is what the lip shade looks like. Don't ask me why, but this is just my perfect everyday shade. I love it. So we are all finished with the makeup. All that we have left to do is actually curl my hair. Well, it's not really curling, it is waving my hair. So I'm just going to grab my waver and everything that I need, and we will be right back to finish off this entire look and curl my hair. Alright, so before I apply any heat on my hair, I always use a heat protectant, and lately I have been using the Ouai Haircare Memory Mist. So this is a really good one because it not only is a heat protectant, but it is also supposed to memorize the hairstyle. So it's basically like a heat protectant and a hairspray in one. So I just spray this all over my hair before applying any heat in it. This also smells really good. And then what I do is just comb through it and make sure that there are no knots or anything in my hair. I just want it to be nice and smooth. Okay, next step is to section off my hair into two parts. So an upper part and a lower part. I just do like this and then grab half of my hair, just twist it and just secure it on top of my head with a whatever you want to use. I just do it like this. And then I'm going to separate this part into two parts. Now for the waver that I use this one by Babyliss, and it is such a good one. It is called the Boutique waver, I think. I will link it down below in the description, but I love this. It is such a good one. It was a little bit expensive, but honestly I swear by it, it is really really good. So I'm just going to take small pieces of my hair, about this much. Taking the waver with the flat side on the bottom, I just push it as close to my head as possible. You just clamp the hair in between and hold it for about 15 seconds, I would say. And then once the 15 seconds are over, you just go down and clamp it another time. You will see where there is like a wave, that is where you are supposed to do another one. Wow, that was a very bad explanation, but I'll show you guys one more time. Why am I so bad at explaining things? I would not be a good teacher at all. So yeah, the 15 seconds are over. What I do then, you just release it and clamp it, and as you can see there is a wave there. That is where you want to do another wave. Again, wait 15 seconds, make sure you are holding it very tightly, and you just want to repeat this until you reach the bottom of your hair strand. So I can do it one more time, and that is going to be it, because this piece is way too small to do another one. So again, just hold it and then release it. So we have a beautiful wave there. So now I'm going to repeat it on the other strands, and then I'll show you guys the product I use to hold it in place. Now that this side is done, I just grab my hairspray. I'm using the Balea one, but you can use whichever one you have sitting at home, and already spray this side. So now I'm going to do the same on this side, and I'll be back once we have finished the bottom half of my hair. Alright, so now this side is done too. I'm going to again apply some hairspray, and then it is time to move on to the other part of my hair. So for the top part of your hair, before you start doing anything, you want to make sure that you decide where your hair part is going to be. So I just usually do it somewhere in the middle. Oh, my hair looks so crazy right now. And then you want to again do it in two parts and just start waving the hair that you haven't waved underneath. Now with the top part, it is very hard to reach this part, so just leave it blank like this. Just go ahead and start where you actually can, and then later on we will curl these parts. And then once we have done all of this, we will again apply some hairspray in it. And the great thing about this waver technique is that once you did this, I mean, it's not difficult, it just takes up a little bit of your time. I usually can do it in 15 minutes. This will last you until your next wash basically. This lasts so long and it remains so beautiful. In my opinion, it even looks better the next day. So yeah, that is why I love this hairstyle. It looks so beautiful, so beachy and wavy, yet it is not very hard to do, and it looks so beautiful and lasts so long. So I'm just going to speed through this process, and then I'll show you guys how I do the top parts of my hair. Alright, so now that we have done all of this looks so weird. We are going to do the top parts, so just section it off, take a little piece and just curl it the closest you can to your hairline without burning yourself basically, and just hold it for a few seconds. Do the next part. Alright, like so, and once that is done, again, grab your hairspray and lock it all in place. Don't forget that for now it looks very weird, but once we will brush it through and everything like that, it will look really nice. But for now, I look very weird, let's be honest. So now I'm going to do the other side and I'll be back once everything is done. Alright, so once I am done fluffing it up, this is what my hair looks like. Now for the finishing touches, I'm going to apply a little bit of my Gisou honey infused hair perfume. This just adds a nice scent to my hair. And I also feel like it adds a little bit of hydration. So sometimes I leave my hair loose like this and just fluff it to one side. But today I feel like applying my hair clips. So I have two of these tortoise, is that what you call it? Hair clips. These are from my online store. You can order them online if you want. But I'm just going to use these to get my hair out of my face basically. So I just take a little bit of the front piece and just clip it in. Like so. Sometimes I have to redo it a couple of times before I can find the way that I like it. And then I do the same on the other side. And that is basically how I have been doing my hair and makeup lately. The makeup is something that I definitely do on an everyday basis whenever I'm feeling like wearing makeup. The hair I don't do on an everyday basis. This is just what I do when I want to spend a little bit more time on my hair. It adds so much volume and body to otherwise a very flat hairstyle, so I freaking love it. And that is actually going to be it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed the look and the hairstyle that I created. If you want to see more hair and makeup related videos, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. I love you guys and I'll see you all in my next video. Mwah.